Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to be back after a year of no posting. A lot has happened within this past year, one of which is actually in the background, but we'll talk about that later. For right now, in light of the trend of the disrespectful, unprofessional hairstylist, I'm going to tell you a story about how I fired my hairdresser twice. Let's talk about it. So the first time I left home and went out on my own, I was very young and really early into my natural hair journey, roughly a year and a half. I decided against the big chop and instead began to transition. At this point in time, I had about 2 inches of natural hair, and then the rest of my hair was relaxed. I knew that where I was moving to, there wasn't going to be very many black salons that I could go to who could take care of my hair. I did find one place online not too far from where I would be living, so I decided to check this place out. I met a hairdresser who said she specialized in my hair texture, and I was looking to do protective styles on my hair, which she said she could do. So I started paying her to do sew-ins regularly, thinking my hair would transition easily. The problem was that I was required to come with my hair already washed and blow-dried. Initially, I was fine with it because then that meant I could treat my hair after blow drying, which I prefer to do anyway. The messiness started when my hairdresser realized that my hair had product in it. So one day she asked me right before install if I washed my hair, and I told her that yes, I did, and then put in leave-in conditioner and oils to keep my hair moisturized underneath the sew-in. She told me then that she only likes to work with clean hair and not to put anything in it. Okay, no problem, I thought. She'll probably condition my hair before install, right? Wrong. She installed my sew-in on dry hair. I expressed my concern with this, but she assured me that it was fine. Now, I would put oil in my scalp after her install, but this wasn't enough. My hair is very dry and it requires a lot of TLC with styles like these, which she didn't understand at the time. My hair needed the moisture, but I couldn't moisturize it without her noticing. She did this very many times. I mean, she did it so many times that my whole perimeter broke off. Like, I had minimal edges and a long crown. And for those of you who are Avatar fans, I did indeed look like Prince Zuko from book 1. If you know, you know. She said it broke off then. When I went to her about it, she said that it broke off because my hair was too dry, which made me pretty upset because I had said this to her prior. Anyway, I decided to take a break from her and ended up finding a hair braider in my area. And y'all, this braider had growing hands. I mean, she grew my hair back in just a matter of a few months. After such a short time, though, I unfortunately lost her phone number and then was forced to start learning how to do and take care of my own hair. It took a lot of trial and error and lots of breakage, but eventually I had acquired more skill than I had the year before. My hair grew back to a decent length with still a few more inches to go. And my curls were starting to pop too. So that's also the important tidbit there. My perimeter returned like it never left, and my hair was thriving. I met up once again months later with the original sew-in hairdresser around Halloween that time. And just to give you guys an idea, I was 23 around this time. She came back to my place to install another sew-in. And I know exactly what you're thinking. Why would you go back? She saw how my hair recovered and asked what I'd been doing with it. And I simply told her that I just stopped messing with it. Then I told her that I went to a Dominican salon to see if they could take care of it for me. She then told me that I need to be careful going there because they use too much heat, which can be damaging. But I ended up telling her that, at that point I had been going to the Dominicans for about 5 years and I never had any issues. And y'all, she didn't come to me as if, she was concerned. It was one of those like, oh, you better be careful going to the Dominican salon. Like, they use a lot of heat and they're going to break all your hair out and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whatever. No issues ever, though. And I'll even add that today, at over 15 years, almost 20 years, they still have taken very good care of my hair. I go to the Dominicans every once in a while, but I can never say that they've broken my hair off or caused it to break or fall out. I've never had any issues, and I still go. But I digress. So she did my hair, then charged me for the service and the tip, as she was a mobile stylist, which I was kind of understanding about. But then she proceeded to eat my food. And you know, I had just gone grocery shopping, so I tried to just be like, okay, whatever, you know, it's fine. I've got plenty of stuff that she can have. But at this point, I decided I was not going to go back to her, and she was quietly fired. This was the first time. Now, I did keep in touch with her. We did keep the friendship going, but I never told her that I was teaching myself how to do my own hair. And she would ask, too, when you gonna let me come back and do your hair? I told her, I don't know, at some point, maybe when I get the money, I'll do it. But I never called her back for a service. Anyway, it took me 3 years to get better. And during that time, I learned another technique, which was heatless straightening and drying. Now, at this point, I was 26 years old, and my hair was really growing like crazy. There were still some things that I couldn't do, but for a beginner, I would like to say that I was pretty good. The original hairdresser, the one that did the sew-ins, she called me one day during that year and asked me when I was going to let her do my hair again. I told her that I would go to her for another style one more time for old time's sake. Now, here's where everything went completely down the drain. I scheduled a time for 12 p.m. on a Saturday, and it was the same day that I had a date at 6 p.m., which I believed to be enough time. So I got ready to leave my house at 11 a.m., and then she called me as I was getting my shoes and heading down, like out the door. She called me asking to push my appointment to 1. Her reasoning was because she didn't want to pay the booth rent that day, being that I was her only appointment at the salon that she was working out of. So she said she would come to my house. I said, okay, no problem. 1 p.m. It's just an hour. It's not that bad. And of course, sew-ins don't take that long. So at 1 p.m., she called me again and told me that she was running late and that she was doing another client's hair. She said she would be at my place at 2. I said, okay, and then went to go get my nails and feet done. She called again at 2 p.m. and told me that she had added another client in front of me and that she would see me at 3 p.m. Now, remember, my appointment was at noon and my date was coming at 6. And he's a pretty punctual dude, so I needed her to come on. Anyway, so here we are at 3 p.m. and my hair still isn't done, but my nails and toes were great. They looked fantastic. So I can imagine that by now you know where this is going. 5:30 p.m. rolls around and she said she would be there at 6. And at this point, I was already showered and dressed and had my hair up in a top knot, and I had very minimal makeup on. She finally arrived close to 6 p.m. It was, I want to say like 5:45, 5:50 around that time. And my date got there at 5:59. If punctual were a person, right? Anyway, I was silently fuming when she got to my house. You guys remember the howler from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets? Like in the movie, do you guys remember how it was steaming and twitching right before Ron Weasley opened it? That is a good way to describe how I felt in that moment when she came in and tried to do my hair. Again, if you know, you know. She really was considering or trying to get me to let her install a sew-in at 6 p.m. when it was time for me to leave. I told her no, that my date is outside and that we are headed across town. which was a 45-minute drive. She said that as a Latino man, he should understand that this is what comes with dating a black woman. So I replied to her that there is no correlation between race and punctuality, and that black people actually can be on time. I told her also that yes, my date understands and loves and respects black culture and the customs that we practiced, but it would have been nice to be ready on time, especially since I hadn't seen him in a year. Guys, he was deployed. She told me then that I was just being desperate and that I shouldn't be acting this way because of a guy. I told her that I'm upset because I'm late and that I'm dating this guy simply because I liked him, not out of desperation. So at this point, this was my last straw with her. Luckily, my night wasn't ruined at all, and my date was such a gentleman, even when I wasn't feeling my most beautiful. I decided right then and there to never let her touch my head again. I kept the friendship once again with this hairdresser for a short time after that. Y'all, she did something later that caused me to cut off all contact and never look back. And if you guys ever want a story on that, just let me know. But anyway, that, everyone, is how I fired my hairdresser twice. So for those of you who are interested in the products that I used, I did include a list of them in the beginning of this video. And I also linked them in the description box below so that you don't have to rewind or pause the video to see what products I used. I do hope that you enjoyed this story time. If you want more, let me know and I'd be happy to post. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video.